Hi everyone, Missy Stegers, broker owner of M. Stegers Realty Partners, here with another training topic today, talking about para 6A and 6C of the 1 to 4 residential contract. Now, 6A has to deal with title policy, and then 6C has to deal with the survey. When we talk about title policy underneath 6A, it is negotiable on who pays for it, seller or buyer, and they can split it as well. When you write in who the insurance policy is going to be underwritten by, it's going to be the name of the title company. Now, some of you may think, well, duh. Well, here's where we see the problems. So sometimes you may be working with a fee attorney, and that is where the escrow is held, but that is not who is writing the title policy. So it can be different than who you put as the escrow company. Give an example. If you have a fee attorney, Joe Smith, attorney at law, and they're holding that account, but Chicago Title is underwriting it for the title policy, often called a fee attorney, then Chicago Title would go in 6A. Now, what is a title policy? Title policy is what ensures that the buyer is getting clear title, that there aren't any encumbrances on it, and the person selling it has the sole right to sell it. In that paragraph of 6A, you're also going to see the ability to amend for shortages. What does that mean? That means, do you want surveyed coverage or not? Shortages are the boundaries of a survey. So you can select to do that or select not to do that, and that is also negotiable for you to do. Now, what's the purpose of that? Not all surveys are accurate. If somebody's fence ends up being 10 foot in someone else's property and there's a problem that arises and it was never disclosed or understood or caught, then that will have coverage for the buyer. You often see these problems on large acreage tracts. So pretty important to actually have that boundary coverage. When's another time that it might be important? When you're reusing surveys. That is the danger of reusing a survey, especially when it comes to acreage properties. Now let's move to para C that talks about the survey. There's 3 choices or 4 choices there actually for you to choose from. The first one is, I'm going to reuse that seller's survey. They have so many days in which you're going to fill in for them to get me the survey. And what most people forget about that must accompany the survey, and it talks about in that block, is the T47 form. What is a T47 form? T47 form is the form a seller fills out that states this survey done on such and such date at this legal description had these changes or had no changes done to it. Like added a new fence, which would cause a pause on whether that survey is valid or not, or they put in a swimming pool, which was poured concrete, which may also cause a pause on whether that survey is valid or not. Now, if they added a flower bed that's done in wood that can be removed, is that a pause? No, it's not. It's not a permanent fixture. So that's what they're looking for on the survey for changes. Are there permanent things that have been put into place that may cause a future issue? Then in addition to that, you can negotiate who's going to pay for that survey if it's no longer valid, and who determines that? The lender or the title company will determine if that is a valid survey. How do they determine that? By the T47 form. Now, you also have to understand that if you do not provide the T47 form, as in that paragraph, It doesn't revert to who's ever checked in the box for who's going to have to get a new survey because the form wasn't provided. It reverts back to the seller because the seller did not provide the T47 form, which either validated or unvalidated their survey. So be careful and read that paragraph. Many times agents mess this up. Then in addition to that, you have para 2 that allows the buyer to get their own new survey. Para 3 says the seller's going to buy a new survey. And para 4 says no survey is needed. Because if you have a cash transaction, nobody cares but yourself if you have a survey. If you have a lender, you will be getting a survey. So those are your 4 paragraphs in para C. It is very important to read the paragraph 1 carefully because that's where people mess up the most. Thanks for joining me on this training topic. And we are always here to answer questions. And we're always looking for great agents.